Hey guys, what is up? Roshi is here. Today we're taking a look at another Worldpyre list. Surprise, surprise. This one is an expedition. I played it a while ago, and it was only kind of mediocre at the time. But since some of the changes to the meta, it seems to be in a better spot. I had a positive win rate with this. I'm not sure how viable it really is, but it's super fun to play. I'm really a big fan of Send an Envoy. Um, its amplify effect of actually putting power into play can be pretty solid. Um, so oftentimes Worldpyre decks, if you don't have Worldpyre, you just kind of lose. Well, this kind of nullifies that because if you have a ton of power in your hand and you're getting flooded, you can fill your board with a bunch of 5/5s and dump a bunch of power into play. Then all of a sudden you can start hard casting all of your things. So it's kind of an extra way in Expedition to cast big crazy spells. Not even sure if this deck is optimized as is. Potentially could cut these grafters and do something else with them, but they're pretty fun to mess around with, so I'll leave them in for now. I potentially could see, cutting these drafters and maybe adding different merchants and some of these cards, like maybe Speaking Circle to the main deck. But I'll leave that up to you if you want to make those changes. We are playing 39 power. This deck does not want to miss a power drop. If you caught me while I was playing this live on the stream, I still managed to get stuck on 3 power a few times. Not even really sure how that's possible in this deck. Maybe that was my fault for not playing 50 power, but it is what it is. Other perks of the grafters, there are extra ways for you to fetch Worldpyre if you don't draw your transpose, so that's kind of another perk for them. The downside though is transpose does give you that handy Aegis. One thing you can do though is use your grafter to fetch the Worldpyre, and then maybe play your Worldpyre when you have 5 power, and you can kind of bait them into using their attachment removal on your Aegis. So there's a lot of ways for people to pop Aegis right now, like their own transpose or an exploit or something like that. So just having Aegis really isn't enough to really secure the Worldpyre. So that can be a good way to bait that. Other than that, I included one Excavator. There's a ton of random attachment hate flying around. It was really nice to have this like one-of answer that gets it, and it's also a reasonable enough body. So there's that. For the rest of the deck, Transpose, Desert Alchemist, these are kind of staples of any Worldpyre deck. Desert Alchemist can make sure you get to that critical 4 power, so that you can cast your Worldpyre and start activating it. Realign the Stars can be very helpful for setting up future turns. Turn 3, you can fetch a Send an Envoy or From the Heavens, and then be ready to go turn 5 to cast them with your Worldpyre. If you have a ton of power, Realign the Stars gets even better because you can do this at the end of their turn, and set up for a massive amplify on From the Heavens, and that can be a very fun way to close out the game. Other than that, we don't have 8 of the Horu in this format anymore, so Channel the Tempest will have to do. This serves the purpose of clearing away a guy and drawing cards. If this is coming down on turn 5, oftentimes they won't really have too much on the board. It just depends on what you're going against, but it can be pretty solid to clear your opponent's only minion and then juice up your hand. For the market, Beacon of the Reach, because why not? It's funny. Every single grafter can fetch it, so we'll go for that. Broker, also just kind of because it's funny. I know that's not probably inspiring a lot of faith at this point, but brokering a Speaking Circle or an Omenscar Worm or a Beacon can be pretty funny. And sometimes you can do something silly where, like, the grafter swaps a card. So, like, maybe early on we put a Channel to Tempest back into our market, and then we can broker to channel the Tempest into our deck, and that can be pretty good. Other than that, Speaking Circle's kind of busted right now. Definitely a card that should be on your radar if it's not already. Blowing up opponents' sights, wow. Like, at the very minimum, it comes down, it blows up your opponent's sight, and you'll cast one spell, and then they'll attack it, and it dies, and you're already so far ahead at that point. Like, that like, minimum baseline is very good. Wasting your opponent's combat, or, you know, forcing, like, a removal spell on it or something, and then getting that card off and blowing up their sight are all very solid effects. Unfortunately, if their sight is a Speaking Circle, this card can't do anything. I should probably complain about that in another video, but it feels like there's a lot of Speaking Circle wars going on right now, and the race to see who can play Speaking Circle first isn't very enjoyable, but you know, it's not up to me to make those decisions, and clearly it's something they want in the game, or else why would it be here? Omen Scar Worm, Surge, draw a card. Sometimes you just need that juice. Speed Grafter can fetch it and give it charge. It is a realistic body. There's just not a lot of big fatties in the format right now. With the last rotation, we lost some very key cards for Worldpyre decks. We don't have Aid of the Horu, no more Soul's Rest. The only board wipe we have is From the Heavens. So you just kind of need something to close out games. And filling up your hand and then burning them out with Channel the Tempest is pretty much the main way we do it. We can also just beat them down with Send an Envoy and From the Heavens to close out games. So that is the deck. For the power base, we're playing every single Silex because, well, why wouldn't we? And the paintings do an excellent job of gaining some life and making sure that we can play all of our 2-drops on time, and hopefully by the time turn 3 or turn 4 is rolling around, we have enough influence that we can play our 4th power untapped and slam our Worldpyre. So that's the list. That's what's going on, some of my thought process. Let me know what you think. If you want to see more content like this, drop a subscribe. If you found this interesting, please like the video. Also, I did make a Patreon, so if you want to see that, the link's in the description. I'll basically be using that to provide any sort of tutorial services if people want. If you want people to, like, you know, I can coach you through deck building or whatever. Also, I can play whatever deck you want, and it's just another avenue for people to kind of reach out and interact with me if they want to. And yeah, if you're interested in that, check it out. Or, you know, join my Discord and post memes. Either way, have a fantastic day, everyone.